Welcome to the Experience Darden podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Hemant Das. Hemant is the principal advisor for India initiatives here at the University of Virginia Darden School of Business, and he and I recently connected via Zoom to talk about his background, what led him to Darden, how things are going in India, what he enjoys about working with prospective MBA students, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. So without further ado, here's my interview with Hemant Das. Hemant, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Brett. Great to be here.
It's great to have you here. For our listeners, where are you in the world right now?
Brett, I'm based out of Mumbai in India, but right now I'm in the eastern part of the country in a small town called Rourkela. This is where I grew up. This is where I was born. So I'm just here for a little while, and then I'll be heading back to Mumbai soon.
All right. So a little bit of time on the road for you in the days ahead.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, India has certainly been in the news over the past year with COVID and the experience the country has had dealing with COVID. How are things right now? How are you doing? How's your family doing?
I'm doing well, and thanks for asking. The family is doing great as well. Yes, India kind of took a big hit in terms of the number of cases, and we've all seen the kind of newspaper reports and the reports on the television. Things were quite bad, but happy to see the kind of recovery happening so quickly. The number of cases have gone down drastically now. A lot of the country is beginning to open up with some restrictions. And the Indian government has been really pushing for vaccinations in a very aggressive fashion, which is great news because that means every single day there are a lot more people getting their doses, getting fully vaccinated, which should kind of help, in terms of recovery. This is also the time of the festive season. So the government is kind of just watching it carefully just to make sure that there's no further spike. But so far, so good. We haven't seen a big spike in cases, and the numbers are quite low, and they continue to drop, which is great news.
Are you going to be able to gather with your family and loved ones for the festivities?
Yeah, that's the kind of idea. I mean, this is where my family is. So we are here just for a brief period of time to get to meet some other people, and then everyone kind of goes back to their kind of, their cities where they come from. So yeah, I mean, basically a little time to kind of get to meet everyone.
What do you enjoy about this time of year in India? Is there something in particular you look forward to?
Brett, I think this is the festive season, and in India you have the festivities spread across a period of time. So it starts now and then goes on till Diwali, which is in early November. So there's a lot of stuff happening, and I think with restrictions kind of getting lifted off, it's still kind of quite muted, but you can see some kind of element of cheer and some kind of element of activity happening, which was not there last year. For me personally, it's just about kind of meeting family and kind of being, part of this kind of festive season, observing things that are happening around you, and just kind of enjoying the entire experience.
Well, I think about Diwali every year when it rolls around because there's typically a celebration also at Darden. Have you been able to connect with those students as they plan for Diwali? Have you been able to participate maybe virtually in some of the celebrations in past years?
I actually have, I keep hearing about the celebrations. I keep seeing the photographs, but haven't been able to kind of participate in one so far. But I'm sure I will do that in the coming days. But yeah, it's something that, that's a very interesting festival, and, it brings a lot of good cheer, and it's great to see people kind of participating and celebrating that across.
All right. Well, Hemant, let's talk a little bit more about you and your story. Tell us about your background.
Okay. So like I said earlier, I kind of grew up in this small city in India. Then I kind of moved to Bangalore to study. And after doing my MBA, I have kind of worked across different industries in different countries. So I worked in online travel, I worked in online gaming, I worked in consumer durables, I worked for an advertising agency, all big brands, global brands. And then with one of my companies, I got a chance to move to the United Kingdom. So I was based out of London for around 10 and a half years, just over a decade. And while I was at London, I got a chance to work with a couple of startups. I worked for Expedia, which is a big travel company. I worked for a logistics startup. And while I was in the UK, I also went back to school. So I did my executive MBA from the Judge Business School at University of Cambridge. This was in 2011, 2013, and it was a great experience kind of going back to school and kind of, getting into the classroom again. And yeah, so one of the things, a few things which have been themes which have been common all across. I've always been involved in marketing, brand strategy, go-to-market in some form or the other, right? And a part of that is what I'm doing at Darden as well. So yeah, so I've been kind of had the opportunity to work in different sectors, work in different markets, and live in different countries as well. So that was a great experience. And I kind of came back to India beginning of 2015. So I'm, like I said before, I'm based out of Mumbai in India right now.
We've had many different professional lives. It sounds like. How did you decide to get into higher education? What led you to say, I'd like to take on this role at the University of Virginia Darden School of Business?
So thanks, Brett, for asking that, because I mean, education in some way or the other was something that I was very interested in getting into. It was just that, it was, in a way, it was marinating. I was thinking about which area to get in and exploring opportunities. Once I had that experience at University of Cambridge at Judge Business School, I started kind of thinking about it a lot more, that, I have kind of had a chance to kind of get high quality education. It would be great to kind of work in this space in some way or the other. So when I kind of came back to India, I had a chance to work with an edtech startup in India. And for just over 4 years, I had a chance to work with Ivy League schools and a lot of big schools in rest of the world as well, around executive education programs and lifelong learning. Because the idea is that the opportunity is to kind of keep learning and keep revisiting. So all this was kind of really fascinating for me, and the transformative effect of education, right? So when the opportunity at Darden came along, what really attracted me was the fact that I get to wear a lot of different hats. I get to draw upon all the experiences that I've had early on, working in different sectors, different areas, and try and kind of almost like bring in and kind of create a recipe to kind of do something to further the impact of Darden in this region, right? So always been passionate about education, but over a period of time, since 2015, I've been thinking very seriously about it, and then I had that opportunity to kind of get into it.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit more about your role and the work that you're doing here at Darden. So you've already talked to us eloquently about why you wanted to move into higher education, the opportunity that was here. Tell us about what you do at Darden.
Okay, so I am part of the CGI team, the Center for Global Initiatives here at Darden. And within that team, I work as a principal advisor, looking at India initiatives and initiatives in that part of the world. So what that means is basically I get to wear a lot of different hats, and I get to work with the Darden Enterprise across. I get to work with admissions, alumni, partnerships, communications and marketing, and any other area which has kind of a touch point in India and the region, right? So, if we are looking at some partnerships in India, I'll get involved. If we are looking at recruiting specific kind of profiles, I'll get involved. If we are looking at doing some alumni profiles, I'll get involved. And marketing if you're launching some digital marketing activities or doing something around the brand or PR in this part of the world, which helps create impact and awareness of the Darden brand, I'll get involved. So I get to wear a lot of different hats, and that's kind of really, I'm really grateful for that, because it allows me to kind of learn, on a regular basis, go into different areas and kind of learn from experiences of different stakeholders. So for me, that's a great experience, and I'm learning every single day about how things work, what we can do better, how we can kind of learn from each other and keep rolling out different things.
Well, that's a very big region. India is also a very large country, very diverse country. How do you think about getting your arms around something that's so large, so diverse, and obviously many other countries in Asia across the region that Darden has connections with? I think in a given year, I think Darden connects with maybe folks in over 80 countries. And just a huge global presence, and obviously Asia region is part of that. So how do you think about orienting to something like that?
That's a great question, Brett. So essentially, you need to kind of, break it down. Essentially, like that joke goes, how do you eat an elephant? You do that piece by piece, right? So on the lighter side, that was on the lighter side. So, essentially, you break it down and kind of think about what are the areas that you need to be kind of focusing on. Like if I just give an example of admissions, like, so for example, we know which are the top schools in India, right? Where the students come from, which are the kind of organizations we get students from, what kind of work level experience they have. And though India is a huge country, most of our audience that we are interested in comes from specific metropolitan cities or environments, right? So then it becomes a lot more manageable in terms of how do I kind of approach this areas where I have impact in terms of partnerships that I might be trying to create, or prospective students that I might be trying to recruit, or other opportunities that I could be looking at. So I think it's about kind of doing that research, doing that homework, and trying to break it up in terms of which are the areas that you need to kind of go into for the maximum impact.
So when you think about connecting with students, obviously you've been a student before in an executive MBA program. What do you enjoy about that work of helping people kind of think through their MBA journey and taking the step in their professional and educational lives?
I think even though I kind of have spoken to so many students, every single student is a unique conversation because they have their own story, they have their own journey, they are coming from a specific place and they want to kind of land up in a specific place, right? So for me, it's amazing to be given an opportunity to be able to unpack that journey and kind of almost walk with them part of the way. And kind of help and guide them in terms of understanding, what's in front of them, and kind of helping them kind of understand and kind of give them that information, right? But I just am really fascinated by talking to the students, hearing their journey, hearing their backgrounds. And you might think that a lot of students might be similar, but every single student has some unique kind of element, unique kind of perspective to their journey.
So one of the things that is interesting to me about your location in the world is that, what is it, about 10 and a half hours difference or so between East Coast and India. And so how do you think about navigating that time difference, the geography, all of these kinds of things, and staying connected to what's going on at Darden?
So I think, Brett, because I've worked kind of in that kind of an environment before, where I've had kind of partnerships in the United States and Europe. So I'm kind of used to that. But in a way, this works very well because, there's an overlap between the beginning of the day at Darden and the close of, play for me, right? So that overlap is great because as I start kind of communicating, most of my meetings are around, early morning Darden time, which is evening or late afternoon for India time. So that's a nice kind of overlap where we can discuss. And even if I'm not able to discuss by the time I get an email, and I'm able to respond by the time someone kind of comes back into work at Darden, right? So it worked very well, in terms of kind of making sure that we are kind of connecting and kind of exchanging views and responding to whatever we might be working on.
Yeah, we've had executive MBA students who've been basically halfway around the world in places like Indonesia and Fiji. And they've actually said that, it's when you have the maybe 6 or 7 hour time difference that things get really tricky, because all of a sudden, it becomes middle of the night, or, when you're trying to navigate some of these meeting times. But if there's a big enough time difference, maybe 12 hours in some of these cases, it actually works out just okay. So I think about our students from Indonesia who said, well, distance class is typically Tuesday and Thursday evenings here on the East Coast, 7 to 8:30. For them, it's Wednesday and Friday mornings, from maybe 6 a.m. to 7:30 or something like that. And so if you can have a big enough difference, it actually is a lot smoother.
And it works very well, like you said, Brett, because I can schedule the sessions or meetings or what I need to do in a way that allows me to kind of take advantage of that, right? So I'm maybe not starting very early in India. I'm maybe starting a little late, because then I can kind of keep going and kind of keep doing stuff, right? So it works out well.
Well, what do you enjoy about the work that you're doing? You've been at Darden for a while now. It probably feels maybe less new. I think about you as someone that I see all the time on meetings, and I hear your name all the time, particularly this time of year as we're in the thick of the admissions season. So what do you enjoy about the work that you're doing, Hemant?
I think one of the reasons I mentioned earlier, that it's always fascinating to kind of talk to people who are, as in prospective students who are about to start the journey, right? And it's great to talk to people who have gone through the journey, alums, right? Where are they in life right now? Where has the Darden journey taken them? Which part of the world are they in? What are they doing? It's really fascinating to kind of hear their story. And for them to kind of say that, look, I went to Darden really long time back, but I remember this faculty, I remember this professor, I love this experience. And I am doing this because, of my Darden experience, of my Darden journey, right? So that's really fascinating to see that transformation from someone who's coming in with maybe a few years of experience, having some thoughts and ideas, and then going on to do really exciting things, really transformative things, right? So that's one element. The second element is the fact that I get to work on a lot of different things, right? For example, I collaborated with the CNM team to kind of look at opportunities for PR or opportunities to run very targeted kind of campaigns in specific markets, or work with the careers team to kind of look at what are the opportunities for international students who might be thinking about looking at other markets outside of US to kind of go and work in. So you're always kind of learning. You're always kind of thinking about, okay, this is a new thing that I didn't know before. So you're kind of learning from a lot of different areas. And I think the fact that it's a very supportive community, everyone is really helpful. You kind of get to. I reach out to a lot of different people and say, I'm thinking about this. I really don't know how to get that information. What do you think about it? And people kind of come out and help me, and that allows me to kind of do what I'm doing, right? So yeah, so some of the things that kind of make me really happy about what I'm doing.
Have you been able to connect with the Darden Alumni Network? In India, it sounds like you're starting to build some of those relationships, and maybe you're a lot further along than just starting to build those relationships.
Actually, yeah, I mean, just before the pandemic started, I had a big schedule of people that I wanted to kind of meet in person. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I'm grateful that we had an opportunity to connect with a lot of alums over virtual calls, or they were part of some sessions that we were doing. So yes, I've been able to kind of connect with a lot of people, and what I do is I keep sharing what's happening at Darden in terms of things that they would love to know about or kind of like to get updates on. This is obviously in addition to whatever we keep sharing through our different channels. And what I'm really looking forward to is when things kind of settle down and it's safe to kind of travel, to do a lot of in-person sessions with them, so that even alums would love to meet each other. Sometimes they are not able to because of their schedules. Get some prospective students in there, and if some faculty or senior leaders from Darden are traveling to that part of the world, to get them all together in a room, right? Uh, have chats and kind of think about their journey and kind of guide the new generation which is coming in.
What's your impression of the Darden Alumni Network there in India? I think of India as a place where we see strong prospective student interest. There's always strong interest, a strong presence in our matriculated classes from India. I know that some of the folks, they remain in the US. Some of the folks ultimately choose to go back home to India. It feels like there should be a robust alumni presence there. And also, of course, we've traveled to India with our Global Executive MBA program, and now our Executive MBA program as part of the global residencies in the past. So it's a place where there's a Darden footprint, to be sure. But what's your impression as someone who's there on the ground of the Darden alumni presence in India?
I think it's a very engaged kind of community, right? They are regularly in touch. They are kind of interacting, exchanging notes, kind of talking to each other. And obviously, whenever there's kind of events which are happening where faculty is traveling or someone from the leadership team is traveling, they are there. They kind of make time out to come out and talk to each other. We have seen them being very supportive and helpful in terms of whenever we are doing some admissions activity or prospective student outreach activity. They're happy to kind of help out and come and do stuff. And they are kind of doing great stuff. I mean, right now, the startup culture is amazing. It's doing really well in India. And it's great to see some Darden alums at the forefront of it doing really great. Then there are alums who have kind of, who are doing very interesting stuff in different areas, right? Who have worked in different parts of the world and now have come back to India and are doing some amazing stuff, really inspirational stuff, which is going to have massive impact, not only in India, but other parts of the world as well, which are quite similar. So it's great to see those journeys, great to see that kind of transformation that they have had, and now they are kind of bringing in their organizations or the kind of work they are involved in.
Well, Hemant, I know your work at Darden is just part of how you spend your time. One of the things that has been fun to ask podcast guests about is, have you picked up any hobbies, interests? Are you reading any books right now, podcasts that you enjoy, movies you've watched, anything that you'd want to mention here that you enjoy doing in your free time?
Actually, I've started cycling a lot more. So I've become a regular cyclist now, and quick, trivia. Though I live in Mumbai, I've never lived in Mumbai before. I have visited Mumbai before I kind of started living there. And interestingly, a lot of Mumbai that I know now is because I started cycling, right? And I started cycling with a group which would keep introducing me to the different parts of Mumbai. So a lot of Mumbai looks very familiar right now to me because I have been cycling a lot, right? And so that's something that I really kind of picked up a lot. And the other thing that I've picked up, just around the COVID pandemic starting, is writing with fountain pens, right? Because not many people write with fountain pens anymore, and it was great to kind of get a few fountain pens and different things, different paper, and experiment with that. I'm not a calligrapher, but I just enjoy messing around with some fountain pens and some good ink.
Well, riding a bike around a city seems like a great way to learn a little bit more about that place. Now, Mumbai is like one of the world's largest cities, so you might be exploring for a while. I feel like you could probably go months and months and months and maybe never go on the exact same bike ride. Although I'm sure you have a few favorite rides. Anything that you like to check out when you're tooling around Mumbai?
Actually, yeah, you're right, Brett. I think Mumbai is such a diverse kind of and cosmopolitan kind of place, and it has such a lot of history, right? That you kind of come across things while you're cycling, and then you don't know, but you know this is something really major, and then you kind of ask someone, and they give you a perspective that this is from, when the Portuguese were here, or whether the British were here, or this is even going back further, this is a big fort. So yeah, I mean, I kind of, I have a bunch of, friends who we go cycling, and we try and, like you said, try and take a different route every time. And that gives you a kind of a different, and Mumbai is a very fluid city, like any big city, it's very fluid, keeps changing, right? So if you kind of go back in the same area after a while, something might be a little different, right? Something new might have come up, right? And of course, because you're cycling, you are in the middle of it all, right? You're not insulated like if you're sitting in a car or a bus, or you are part of it, right? You can hear the sounds and smells, and you are part of it, right? And I think that's a great place to be. And people stop you and ask you about things, what you're doing, and you can kind of stop and ask people for directions or what the history is about that place. And most often than not, they'll kind of acknowledge it and indulge you with giving a story about that place.
David Byrne, who was the lead singer in the Talking Heads, he is a Renaissance person. He's very interested in a lot of different things, and one of the things that he enjoys doing when he's on tour is cycling around. And I think cycling generally, but when he's on tour, he takes a portable bicycle with him and cycles around the towns where he's on tour. And he wrote a whole book about it. There's a great book about exploring cities on a bicycle, and it makes a similar point, that when you're in a car or a bus, or subterranean on a subway or something like that, you're not quite getting the same perspective of the place as you do on two wheels, riding around on a bicycle. So if you're looking for something to read, Hemant, find a gentleman who feels similarly to you about the joys of cycling in a city. But
I need to check this out. I think this will be really fascinating. Other thing, you were kind of talking about books. So I kind of read a book, again, cycling related, about this guy who was, he's an Indian guy who was a senior executive for Adidas, right? And he kind of took a sabbatical and cycled down from Alaska down to Argentina, South America. And this he did completely unsupported. And he kind of, in this book, he talks about, his journey, about, how he came across bears in Alaska and how he was afraid, and he was unsupported, right? So he would kind of, ask people if he could sleep in their backyard, or, and how people were very supportive to him. And so that was a fascinating kind of read. And he's very active in the speaker circuit. So I hope to kind of meet him when he's speaking at any new session in Mumbai sometime. So that was something I read quite recently. But I'll look up your suggestion about David Burns. I'll definitely check out his book.
Yeah, I think you might enjoy it. Although I'm intrigued by a bike trip from Alaska to Argentina. I don't think I'd ever considered that. I've heard of people hiking that sort of stretch all the way from the United States down to Central in South America. I'd not thought about it on a bike. So, gosh, I'll have to check that out myself. So,
I'll send you a link for this, Brett. Yeah.
Please do. Well, Hemant, it's been such a pleasure catching up with you. I wonder if you have any final tips, suggestions for our listeners. Obviously, we have a number of prospective student listeners here, undoubtedly some in India tuning in and checking out the podcast. Any tips you would share with our listeners?
I think, something that I kind of tell prospective students is that kind of do your homework, do the research, right? Obviously you're thinking about a lot of different things, kind of give some time to kind of, percolate, kind of get in, marinate, so that you also have a very clear idea on what you're looking for, and spend some time introspecting and reflecting in terms of who you are as a person, what your journey is, what you're looking to get out of that, and then kind of start looking at it from that perspective, that filter, because then that will allow you to kind of understand. And also, I would really recommend, prospective students to take advantage of the massive resources that we have available. Podcasts like this that you run, blogs, webinars, events that we do. We can't do kind of in-person events right now, but there's so many virtual platforms that are available. I would really suggest, because every time you kind of learn something new, it could be about faculty, it could be about case study, it could be about Charlottesville, It could be about career outcomes. So attend as many sessions you can, talk to students, talk to the admissions team, reach out to me if you are in India. And that all gives you a perspective of what to expect when you're coming to Darden and what the Darden journey is all going to be all about. And, take advantage of that, and that will allow you to put the best foot forward.
Well, Hemant, thank you so much for your time today. I know it is fairly late there in India as we're recording this conversation. Always a pleasure catching up with you, and thank you for sharing your story and all of these good tips and insights for our prospective students.
Thanks, Brett. It was great to be on the podcast. Thanks for having me, and it was great having this chat.
And that was my interview with Hemant Das, Principal Advisor for India Initiatives here at the University of Virginia Darden School of Business. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at Darden, that's DARDEN, @virginia.edu. And until next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.